tonight.
We have to fight that invisible enemy.
Americans in a state of emergency.
We're going to win.
Hunkering down to fight the global pandemic, increasing coronavirus testing. And on St. Patrick's Day, parades canceled across the country. This as voters in some states head to the polls amid the pandemic fears. And a last-minute decision.
We're going to make sure that we have a fair and free election and also protect the health and safety of Ohioans.
Ohio postponing its Democratic primary. Plus, the power of prayer. A little girl teaches her little brother how to overcome his fear amid the coronavirus. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
The attempt to bail out America as coronavirus brings business to a breaking point. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Jenna Browder.
And I'm Ben Kennedy in for John Jessup. Tonight, the Trump administration is calling on all Americans to do their part to slow the spread of COVID-19.
The president and his coronavirus task force fielding questions today from reporters for more than an hour, many of them having to do with containment and, of course, the shell-shocked economy.
And as many of our reporters are working from home in light of the virus, we have team coverage tonight with Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson and national security correspondent Eric Phillips, who begins our coverage. Eric?
Well, Ben and Jenna, one of the things that the president, among others, said today is that ending the pandemic is everyone's responsibility. And I should mention that the mayor of New York City this afternoon said that his residents, all 8 million plus, should be prepared to shelter in place just to make sure that they are doing their part to end this pandemic. Officials reminding the nation that just because each individual person may not fit into that high-risk population, they could still easily infect someone who does. Flanked by his coronavirus task force, the president said the next 15 days are crucial for the U.S.
So it's 15 days from yesterday. We'll see what happens after that. If we do this right, our country and the world, frankly, but our country can be rolling again pretty quickly. Doing this right, the president said, would include observing new CDC guidelines with tighter restrictions on public gatherings. We're asking everyone to work at home if possible, postpone unnecessary travel, and limit social gatherings to no more than 10 people. Also calls for the public to avoid visiting nursing homes, containing the nation's most vulnerable. At least 35 states have ordered public schools closed, and 15 states activating the National Guard. The World Health Organization making its plea clear.
We have a simple message for all countries: test, test, test.
The FDA now expanding earlier guidance, allowing states to approve their own COVID-19 tests to speed up the process. Virginia's governor saying increased testing is on the way, but in the meantime, urging caution.
That means do not go to St. Patrick's Day parties tonight. If you do, you are literally putting others at risk.
While primary elections are moving forward in Illinois, Arizona, and Florida, Ohio's governor called them off, citing virus concerns. Officials overall sounding optimistic.
But I wouldn't, put us to task every few days. Well, wait a minute, it's going up. Is it working or not? That would be really misleading. And health officials have talked about the fact that there is a lack of ventilators to help patients with the virus. So now the military is stepping up. The Pentagon providing 5 million respirators and 2 million specialized ventilators to help with the response to the coronavirus. I should mention, though, that these are specially designed ventilators, and the military will have to train civilians on exactly how to use them, but still a big help coming from the Pentagon tonight. Ben and Jenna.
Thank you, Eric. And with everything shutting down, some lawmakers are still on Capitol Hill.
The Senate working to bring relief to the American people, looking at several different options. Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson with more on that. Abigail?
Well, that's right. Ben, as you said, as the country is shutting down right now, the Senate is here and they are hoping to pass 2 new coronavirus relief bills in addition to that bill that they passed earlier this month in an effort to increase what they are doing to legislatively fight the spread of this crisis.
It is abundantly clear that our nation cannot afford partisan politics as usual.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell canceled the scheduled recess this week, keeping senators on the job to pass the House coronavirus relief package, which calls for free testing, paid sick leave, and food assistance for low-income families. But that's not all on McConnell's to-do list.
And it's my intention that the Senate will not adjourn until we have passed significant and bold new steps above and beyond what the House has passed.
McConnell is already working with the administration on a Phase 3 relief bill, an $850 billion emergency economic stimulus package.
With this invisible enemy, we don't want airlines going out of business. We don't want people losing their jobs or not having money to live when they were doing very well just 4 weeks ago. So we're going big.
Things Phase 3 might include are a payroll tax cut, $50 billion in assistance to the airline industry, and $250 billion for small business loans.
The payroll tax holiday would get people money over the next 6 to 8 months. We're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. And what we've heard from hardworking Americans, many companies have now shut down, whether it's bars or restaurants. Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
McConnell says the Senate is eager to act quickly on passing these bills, and the House is scheduled to be back in session next week when they could take up Phase 3 if they return to Washington as planned, and if Speaker Pelosi agrees to bring that bill to the House floor. Back to you, Ben and Jenna.
All right, thank you, Abigail. Well, to the campaign trail. Coronavirus taking its toll there, too, with postponed primaries. In a last-minute decision, Ohio joining 4 other states in pushing back its election day.
3 other states, Arizona, Florida, and even Illinois, are holding their elections as planned, with polls set to close in just a few hours. The changes to the election calendar come as the coronavirus becomes a hot-button political topic.
We are living in a very unprecedented and strange moment in the history of our country. We have a president who is in so many ways unfit to be president in terms of the coronavirus is making a very difficult situation even worse by undermining what the doctors and the scientists are saying.
Now for our Faith Nation political panel, CBN Chief Political Analyst David Brody. David, states, going in different directions, canceling, keeping the primaries on. What do you think? Did Ohio make the right move?
Well, I think it's the only move they could have made at this point. And I know other states are not following suit. But look, Mike DeWine, the governor of that state, has really been out front of this right from the very beginning. March 3rd, he started canceling schools and canceling or closing restaurants and shops all around the country, or excuse me, all around the state. So, it doesn't surprise me that he's been on the forefront of this. So, no, I think it's probably a pretty good move overall. I'm not quite sure what happens in Florida and Illinois. I know. I shouldn't say I don't know what happened. I know what's going to happen. In other words, there's going to be at least 4 to 6 feet social distancing between each voter as they line up. I mean, this whole thing has just kind of been a nightmare scenario, especially when it comes to the get out the vote effort. I mean, are people really going to go out of their house and vote? So everything's skewed and it's all messed up.
David, today President Trump talked about the bailouts, again, bailing out airlines, other companies. How would this play out politically? That is, this is very different from 2008 when the banks were bailed out.
Well, it is. It's different. And so therefore, I think the president and the Republican Party will get a pass here. Normally, you have a situation where, look, they're going to basically have so much money that they want to spend. Well, that's not going to be a problem necessarily, right? I mean, in other words, the Republicans don't like to spend money. They don't want to bail out folks typically. But This time around, what are you going to do? The whole economy is closing, and that's why I think it won't come back to hurt the Republicans politically. It won't come back to hurt President Trump as well.
Let's talk about the congressional relief bill and that stimulus package, David. This is a bipartisan effort. What are the chances you think it gets passed, and how quickly?
Yeah, no, it's going to get passed. Quickly, yeah, Congress and quickly, they don't usually go in the same sentence together.
They're moving faster than usual here, though.
They are, and so faster than usual could be about a week, maybe less, but it'll definitely happen. The question is, what is it going to look like? Look, the administration, and I know there was talk about this $1,000, every American is going to get $1,000. That is a bold, bold move by this administration.
Do you think it's a political one?
Yeah, well, I think to a degree it's a political one because, well, first of all, Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton and other Republicans are on board with this. Yeah, it's political to a degree because they know, Trump knows, and Mnuchin knows that the payroll tax is going to take some time to get through the system. So therefore, they've got to get money right away in the hands of Americans. They think that will help. Money, as we know, doesn't solve all problems. It's really important to just hunker down right now, especially these next 15 days.
David, real quick, I want to backtrack to Ohio for just a minute here. If Biden wins big tonight, could that spell the end for Bernie?
Well, here's the answer. Yes, with an asterisk, right? Because like every time we talk about this, you know, it's the end for Bernie, it's the end for Bernie, and Bernie sticks around. But look, I think ultimately this will be the end for Bernie, and here's why. There has to be a solidarity movement with the Democrats at this point. Coronavirus is going on. You know, let's just move on. The states are having all sorts of problems, Ohio and all of this. I think it would be a bold and a provocative move by Bernie to say, look, because of the coronavirus, I've decided to suspend my campaign. Let's move on. I think that's what you're going to see.
If that happens, how soon will we hear the VP picks? Or pick?
Oh, right away. We're hearing them already. Amy Klobuchar is the big hot ticket, so to speak. We'll see. I don't know about that.
We'll see. All right, David Brody, thank you very much. Well, faith leaders are using their platforms to speak on the coronavirus. Dr. James Dobson, among them, the Family Talk founder, writing on his website, quote, "These events are not unknown to God. His gracious sovereignty and faithfulness remain steadfast. God's mercies are new every morning." Dobson also referenced several scriptures, including Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, and everlasting present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Dobson is encouraging everyone to exercise sound judgment and for Christians to shine the light of hope. Here is a recent prayer of his.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for inviting us to bring our cares and concerns to you because, as the Scripture tells us, you care about us. We can't explain why you're mindful of us, but we know that nothing escapes your notice, including those in our midst today who are suffering and fearful. So, Lord, we do call on your name, not just about our personal concerns, but for the entire human family around the world. We want you to give wisdom and guidance to our president and to the international leaders as they do their best to protect the people from the coronavirus. Be with the scientists as they seek to develop a vaccination to bring this epidemic to an end. We are in your hands today, Lord, and we thank you for loving us. Amen.
Coming up, how faith-based organizations are stepping up to provide hot meals for kids and their families during the coronavirus emergency. That's next.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Or
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Well, schools are closed across the country because of COVID-19, and faith-based organizations are really stepping up to provide meals for kids and their families.
Schools closing in LA County and many other districts created a bit of a problem for kids and families relying on the districts for free meals. And that's where the Dream Center, which has been helping the homeless and needy for decades, had an idea.
In LA County, no class means no breakfast and lunch for the thousands of students who count on them every day. That's when the LA Dream Center stepped up to provide hot meals throughout the week for kids and their families.
We've been here for 25 years in the neighborhood. We've never left.
Reverend Matthew Barnett says they are laser focused on combating the threat to COVID-19, opening their multi-million-dollar property, which they use to help the homeless.
People thought we were crazy when we bought it because we had nothing. We had $50,000 in the bank, and we had a church of all homeless people. Like 80% of my church was homeless.
And in 1996, the Dream Center opened its doors.
This is the 101, one of the most famous freeways in the country, and God's put us here, right here on this freeway.
Nearly 20 years later, they're serving 2,000 hot meals each day to those in need.
So we got 550 beds dedicated to just homeless people that live here on this facility.
And Dan, looking out on the campus, I mean, this place is really a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
For the homeless.
Yeah.
They have a place to stay, they can get food, as well as ministry and help.
And I think the great thing about our programs in dealing with the homeless is that they're one-year programs. People need time to get their brain reprogrammed and get their lives together. When Ben Carson actually was on this roof and I was showing him the whole facility, he said, 1 year is brilliant.
After Carson's firsthand look of LA's Skid Row, the Housing and Urban Development Secretary made clear all options are on the table in attacking this crisis.
You know, I am a Christian. I believe in the Bible. And there are a lot of verses in the Bible about our obligation to the poor.
He's calling on all levels of government to work together with advocates, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations like the Dream Center.
Not being government funded allows us to take in people quickly rather than process them through a long system.
After being introduced to the Dream Center, I realized that it was because I wasn't in tune with God.
Now, more than 85% of students in this district qualify for free or reduced price meals. So the need is, quite frankly, there as more organizations like the Dream Center provide food during the outbreak.
When we come back, how the coronavirus is affecting religious freedom as countries around the world grapple with the global pandemic.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter.
board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
People across the globe are getting used to new normals because of coronavirus, including canceled or online church services.
But suppression of religious activities can be alarming in some countries where freedom of worship is already a struggle. Senior Washington correspondent Jennifer Wishon reports.
Commissioner Mienza, thank you for joining us. Tell us, how is the coronavirus affecting religious freedom abroad?
Well, we are certainly seeing that it is affecting religious freedom as so many movements have been limited. And so because of that, we have just put out a new fact sheet called the Global Response to the Coronavirus, the Impact on Religious Practice and Religious Freedom, and it's available at userv.gov. And what we have found is that we're seeing all over the world that gatherings are being limited, obviously secular, but as well as religious. So you have places like, the Mecca and Medina and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia closing. You have the Vatican doing online services. And then you have really religious services all over the world being limited right now.
As nations are responding to the spread of the virus, trying to contain this, why should they be sensitive? Why should they consider religious freedom?
Well, we're reminding countries that really legally they have the obligation to consider religious freedom. In the United States, fortunately, we have our laws and our Constitution that really guarantee that right for us. But around the world, we really look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights as being those documents that we call upon that really ensure everyone has religious freedom. And so it's really the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And so it's not a derogated right, which means it doesn't disappear during war or even public emergencies. So even now, during this time, people still have the right to practice their religion and to have freedom of religion. We do know that the one caveat for that, I shouldn't say caveat, you still have that right, but there are some limits for religious freedom only that are tailored to a specific threat, and they're non-discriminatory. So, things that like now where all religious services are being curtailed because of the pandemic, which would be different. So it's not specific against one religion. And so that's important. And we're just watching and making sure that stays that case.
I wonder, why is trust between religious groups and governments helpful in times like this?
Right, that's a really good question. And faith communities can be really good partners for governments during these times. And we really recommend that rather than curtailing religious rights, that states work with their religious communities on really having a more positive outcome. And so we do believe that would be important.
I think about nations like China that even in healthier times, if you will, restrict religious freedom. Are those violations exacerbated during crises like this?
Right. We're definitely seeing that in China right now that you mentioned. We know over 1 million Uyghurs, Muslims, are in concentration camps right now. We know that they're working in factories to make up for their lost capacity from all of their sick citizens in China. And we've even heard stories of lung transplants being available within a few hours, which we would expect from their record to be using religious prisoners of conscience from Falun Gong or Uyghur Muslims. And so that's really concerning. We're also concerned about religious prisoners really all over the world that are being kept in close conditions and that they're obviously at a greater risk. So we do know that, as you know, we do a report that every year that we report on countries that we either recommend that the State Department designate as a country of particular concern. And we have 16 of those that we recommend, and then we have 12 that are really tier 2 countries. And those first countries are countries that, really have egregious violations of religious freedom that are also systematic and ongoing. And so those countries, we know that there are some countries that are looking for ways to suppress their religious communities, and we just want to send out an alert that we don't want this to be an excuse to do that. Everyone has a right to practice their faith and to not use this specific instance as a way to either clamp down or marginalize people further simply because of what they believe. So this is just so in line with our values, and also a lot of people around the world that stand with us in believing that freedom of religion and belief should be a right for all people.
Commissioner Nadine Mayenza, thank you for the work you do, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And that was Nadine Mayenza with USERF. Switching gears here, we at CBN News, we want to wish you a very happy and a very safe St. Patrick's Day. Tonight, the new docudrama from CBN Films, I Am Patrick, is available now on DVD. For your copy, just go to iampatrick.com, or you can call, or you can text Patrick to 71777.
Well, coming up, out of the mouth of kids comes a message of strength and hope to face the pandemic. That's next.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Well, school's out for who knows how long. Kids responding in a lot of different ways to the coronavirus cancellations.
Everything from celebration to fear to enthusiastic faith. Take a look at this. This is a 6-year-old boy. His name is Cameron. He recited a Bible verse with his brother, that is, who has autism, and was struggling with fear after watching a story about the coronavirus.
Give me a spirit, but power, love, and a sound, and a sound mind. Amen.
And this is an excellent reminder that God gave even the smallest of USA spirit of power to overcome our biggest fears. And it was really inspirational to watch him.
So sweet, and
really
now
cool.
more important than ever.
Definitely.
Have a great night.